Okay, and I'll just share my screen. Let me know once you guys can see my screen.
It's visible, Saurabh.
Okay, yeah. Uh, your slideshow is also visible, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Uh, is it in the presenter mode right now, or is it like
No, not right now. I think the earlier one was in the display setting. I think you need to change at once.
yeah?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. So let's get started about AMDP. So I hope you have already done with your CDS session, and you must have already got the knowledge of what is CDS, what is HANA, what is ABAP on HANA, why we are learning these, what advantages it will. Just a quick recap of the session, or first we'll just check the agenda. So we will just have a quick recap of what is code push down, top down approach. We will have an introduction to AMDP. We have classes, AMDP methods, functions, polymorphism, body, database connections, and yeah, you can see the agenda. And also, we'll directly go into the system. I'll just take a quick 20-25 minutes of theory, and then I'll directly jump onto the system to show you, okay, how we can create an MDP, how we can execute it, how we can debug it, and yeah, answer all your queries if you have. Now, just quick recap of what is code push down and why we are doing that. Okay, so prior to ABAP 7.4, right now we are working on ABAP 8.0. So yeah, prior to ABAP 7.4, there was no code push down approach, and after 7.4, SAP introduced, okay, there's a top down approach. What is top down? Basically, in ABAP, when we write any kind of select query, the select query gets executed on the application level. I hope you must have an idea of the layers which we have in SAP R3, right? So we have the presentation layer, we have application layer, and we have a DB layer. So DB layer where our database resides. Application layer is, you can say, SAP GUI where you actually write the code, and the presentation layer can be your Fiori UI or any kind of UI, or uh, yeah, it is your desktop as well. So whenever you were writing any select statement, the select statement was getting executed on the application layer. Okay, like the data we were getting from DB, and then the data was processed, or the joins and all were happening on the application layer. Okay, so like what is the disadvantage? Like it was creating performance bottlenecks, and that is why SAP has introduced a new concept of code push down, or we can say top down approach, where we will push all the all the database intensive queries or calculations in database, and the database we will get the final data, or we will get the uh, you know cleaned data on our application layer, which we can process. Either we can display, or we can play around, we can slice and dice the data, and then we can play around with it. So bottom up approach, as you can see, the calculation and all was done in the application instance of ABAP application server, ABAP, and there was an HANA database. So this was data to code approach. Sometimes it is called bottom up. So yeah, so these two are the names for the traditional approach. The new approach is code to data, or code push down, or top down approach. Okay. Now, after this, like with the release of SP5, the top-down approach has been introduced, where in SAP HANA, we will have some artifacts created like CDS view, like AMDPs. AMDP is nothing but ABAP manage database procedure. There is something called AMDP functions as well. But for this session, when I say AMDP, I mean to say procedure. And if there will be any AMDP function, I will explicitly specify. Excuse me. I will explicitly specify that I'm talking about function and not a procedure. Okay. So yeah. Uh, can you mute if you're not speaking, please? Okay. So in this case, the top-down approach, we have created some artifacts like CDS and AMDPs where we will push down the calculations, the database fetching and the calculations, and any kind of calculations we have to do on data, we will push it down to the DB layer because it is much faster than the application layer. Okay. Now, okay, what is AMDP? As I already said, it is a ABAP managed database procedure. And so, what do you mean by a procedure? If you're some of you have already worked on SQL, MySQL, or OpenSQL, or any kind of SQL flavor. So there we have something called stored procedures. Okay. So AMDP is similar to the stored procedures. Okay. We don't write it in our ABAP language. There is a SQL script. So AMDP we write in a scripting language. So it's a scripting language procedure. Okay. They are introduced to easily unable to follow the code push down paradigm. Okay. And as I already said, AMDP is a procedure written in a database specific language. So basically in SAP, we use 90% of the cases we use HANA as a database. And to get the required data from HANA, we use SQL script. So it's a scripting language. It's not the you know that we have ABAP SQL as well, which we generally call Open SQL. So that is the normal ABAP SQL language. But what we write in AMTP is the SQL script language. Okay, and yeah, you have to write the code for AMDP in Eclipse. I hope you have already installed Eclipse after yesterday's session in CDS. So Eclipse with ADT tools. ADT is about development tools. We will go into the system. I will show you, okay, what is the difference between a normal AMDP procedure or a normal AMDP, like AMDP class and a normal ABAP class. Okay. So yeah, currently AMDP only supports database procedures from SAP HANA database. In principle, however, AMDP is designed so that the stored procedures from other database systems can also be supported. What does this mean is right now, when we write any kind of AMDP method or AMDP function, the database has to be SAP HANA database. But the roadmap is we can write AMDP for other databases as well. Like SAP also uses IBM DB2. So if you want to fetch the data from DB2, you can also write AMDP, but that is in the roadmap of SAP and it has not been introduced yet. Okay, moving forward. AMDP classes. So what is like AMDP procedure? We are hearing this term procedure again and again. It's just a simple class that we create in SE24 in ABAP. But the difference is, okay, it executes in HANA database and we have to code the class. We have to write the code of the class in Eclipse. We cannot edit it in GUI. You cannot edit it or you cannot debug it, edit it, or create your SAP GUI. You have to use Eclipse. And going forward for every ABAPer, we have to shift. Like I'm also an ABAPer from past 11 years, so we have to shift to uh, Eclipse for writing our code, even for a report program or a classes or a function module. So we have to shift to Eclipse because right now we are moving towards ABAP RAP, which is RESTful Application Programming, and it is completely written in Eclipse. Okay, so SAP GUI will be obsolete after a few years, but so everybody like it is a it is a shift for every ABAPer. I know that, but at some point of time we have to make this shift. Okay, so now like as I said, this AMDP procedure is a AMDP class. How we will create it, we'll get into the details. But any global class in the class library is called an AMDP class if the class contains the interface, this interface. If AMDP marker HDP, so suppose I give you two classes, okay, two SE24 classes, and I want you to identify, okay, which is the AMDP class and which is a normal class. You can identify if one of the class has this interface implemented, or if the class is using this interface, then the class is an AMDP procedure. Okay, so what does this interface do? This interface doesn't contain any of the methods that you need to implement. This interface just consists of two attributes. Okay, how our SAP application layer talks to DB layer? It is via DB interfaces, database interfaces. Any kind of language where you are writing your SQL queries, or where the database is hit, it is connected to the database system, or it talks to the database system via DB interfaces, which converts the human readable language into database readable language. What I mean to say is, for example, you are writing a select query on your ABAP code in an ABAP report. You have written uh, select matter from Mara. Okay, you are selecting a material from Mara table. Now, this is this is a human readable code, or it could have multiple joins and other things as well. But this you have written in your application layer. Now, when your application layer will talk to DB, DB may or may not be able to understand this language. So there will be a database interface in between, which will be responsible for connecting these two layers, and which will also transform uh, uh, the ABAP SQL into database native SQL language. Okay, so whenever we are talking about this interface, when any class is using this interface, we are telling our system, we are telling our SAP system, this is called a tag interface. So we are tagging this class as an AMDP class. Okay, so the the SAP system will know, okay, this interface is used. I have to, like, this is an AMDP class, and yeah, like I have to execute this completely in HANA database. Okay, now the names of the interfaces all start with if AMDP marker. The last keyword is the name of the database that we are using. Currently, it is HDB, which is HANA database. But as I said, going forward, we would be able to create AMDP procedures for other databases as well, like IBM DB2 or Oracle, whatever database that we are using. Okay. Uh, yeah, and so AMDP class can contain both regular and AMDP methods. Okay, so now we have uh, got to know the difference between a normal SE24 class and an AMDP class. But there is a difference between the normal methods and AMDP methods as well. You can identify by their signature. Okay, if this is an AMDP method or a regular method. So, but the AMDP class can consist of both regular and AMDP methods, but a regular class cannot consist of AMDP methods.
Training.
So why? Because for AMDP methods, we need to have the class which is AMDP enabled, and how we will do that if the class is using this interface. If the class is tagged by this interface. Okay. Moving forward, AMDP methods. Yeah. AMDP. So there are some prerequisites and what is an AMDP method? An AMDP is declared uh, in an AMDP class, just like a regular method or an instance method. Okay, it is just yeah, the visibility or the can be public, private, protected. An AMDP method cannot be identified as an AMDP method in the declaration section. I will go to this point now. In AMDP, we cannot have returning parameters. Okay, exporting, importing, and changing parameters are allowed in AMDP, but methods with returning parameters cannot be implemented as AMDP. Okay, for returning, there is something called AMDP functions, which is known as table functions, which we will discuss in the second half of the session. What is a table function? So methods with returning parameters cannot be implemented as AMDP. Okay, and the method parameters, like in class we pass the parameters by pass by value or pass by reference. But in AMDP, we always have to pass them as values. They cannot be passed as a reference. Okay. And database commit, like we can write a commit work or a rollback work statement in our normal SE24 class, but we cannot write them in our AMDP methods or in AMDP class because the method itself is getting executed. It is just to fetch the data, clean the data, and give it to the consumer. So AMDP method cannot, cannot be executed as a standalone method, or it cannot be used to productize any application as a standalone. Some caller program or somebody has to call the AMDP method. So AMDP is just a tool to interact with the database. So that is why the commit and rollback are not allowed in the AMDP method. You can have these statements in your caller program or caller class. Okay. Write access to database tables for which SAP buffering is activated is not permitted. Basically, from AMDP, you can also do CRUD operations. CRUD meaning create, read, update, delete. But only for those tables for which the SAP buffering is not active. Okay. And the last point is, okay, because now we are talking about some code that we are writing directly in database, DB. Okay, this is not our application layer code. In application layer, we can have, we have a complete enhancement framework, which consists of different enhancement techniques like explicit enhancements, implicit enhancement. Okay, but in AMDP, we cannot have all those kind of enhancement options or enhancement techniques. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll quickly jump into the system. Okay. And I will tell you how we can declare and the methods. Okay. I hope you have gotten access to R4E system, the training system, right? Hello. Team, you have gotten access to R4E system, right? You are practicing there only, correct? Piyush,
No, sir. We did not. I did not get access at least.
Piyush, the team has access to R4E, right?
I have already sent them the document. They can get the access. They have to raise it once.
Okay,
I have
okay,
already sent the detailed steps on how they can raise the access. So yeah.
okay. So team, please get an access to R4E system. Then after that, uh, hope you have gotten the documents for how to install Eclipse and the ADT tools. I'll not go into the details of those things. Right now, I'm using one of the Deloitte Sandbox S4H, but the same code you can write in R4E system as well. Okay, I've already created one AMDP class in the interest of time, and but I will go to the code line by line to explain you okay what every line means and what it will do. And further, I will also go into the debug mode to show you okay how uh, how we can debug the AMDP. So all the things I will cover here, and then maybe we will quickly run through the presentations if you have any doubts. Okay. But any doubts still here? What we discussed till now? Okay, I take that as a no. Now, so what you have to do is I'm into my S4H system. And one more thing, team, if time permits towards the end of the call, maybe I'll stop the recording and I will show you how the real life project AMDP looks like. This is a very small AMDP that I've created for demo purpose. But in in real projects, we have a very a more complex AMDP. Okay, so if time permits, I'll connect to my client VPN and will show you after stopping the recording. Okay, now you are into S4 system or you are into your SAP system. Here you have to create a new class. You can go via clicking on classes and right click new ABAP class. Okay, so this is just a normal definition of the class, and this is the implementation of the class. Okay, so this is completely written in Eclipse. I'm using Eclipse for my normal coding as well. Like if I'm writing a report or any function module, I'm using Eclipse in my project. Okay, and I would suggest you to start using Eclipse if you are not, because as I said, SAP is moving towards RAP and CAP and BTP, if you have heard of these terms. So there we have to use Eclipse only for RESTful application program. Okay, now this is the definition of class, and here in the public section, you can note that I have included the interface. Interfaces if AMDP marker HDB. So this is, I'm tagging this class as an AMDP class. I'll just go into the system and will show you, maybe in GUI, it will be easier for you to understand. What does this mean? Or what all attribute it consists of? Okay, as you can see, this does not contain any interfaces. Uh, this does not contain any methods, events, or types, anything. It only consists of two attributes, version and activate. Okay, from these two attributes, we are telling the SAP system that wherever this interface is used, please tag that class as an AMDP class. Okay, now for example, if I'll just open this class in GUI, you can see this interfaces is there. Marker interfaces for DB procedures. So I'm marking this class as an AMDP class. One more thing, like the AMDP classes, the procedures, stored procedures cannot be created, edited in SAP GUI. They cannot be even debugged in SAP GUI. We can just check, okay, what is the code there? We can just display it. Okay, but for example, if I'll go into the edit mode, it is giving me an error like okay, my zoom is, yeah, it is giving me an error. This class contains stored procedures cannot be changed in SAP GUI. So even if you have got any normal regular methods in your AMDP class, you have to edit this in your what do you say, Eclipse only, not in SAP GUI. And if I'll go to the method, so this is the method. See, this is the complete coding, but here you will see, okay, this is we use for like this specific uh, keyword we use for commenting out of some code in ABAP. But this is not a comment. This is a real code in AMDP. Okay, you cannot edit this in GUI. You can just see, you can just display the methods or the classes. So you have to go to Eclipse and edit the method or debug it if required. Now, okay, so this I've tagged the class as AMDP. I've just declared a type that we do in our regular class to get the sales order details. What I'm doing in this class, I'm just getting some sales order details. I'm joining some tables where I will get the details like sales order number, what is the sales document type, the document date, and I'm using some standard SQL script functions. I will let you know how they work uh, also in debug mode. Okay, I'm using a case statement which we can use in our ABAP SQL as well. Okay, I'm using joins. So I'm getting this data, which is sales order, document type, document date, customer material, what is the material we are using in the sales order. All these kind of say details, I want to display it in one of my programs. Okay, so that is a declared a type structure. And now I have declared one static method. Why? Because I don't want to instantiate this class. You can create an instance method as well, but I don't want to instantiate this class. So I've created one class method. So from the declaration, you won't be able to identify, okay, if this is an AMDP method or if this is a regular method. But from the method implementation, from the signature of it, you will be able to identify. I will go to that section. So this is just a simple public section that we have created for the class. You can also see this in GUI, but you cannot edit it. Just to make you comfortable, I'm going into backend SAP system. So see, I have created this type structure, begin of this, and I've also created a table type. Okay, and I've created a class method, get sales out, right? But I won't be able to edit this. Okay, now coming to the implementation, we have to implement this method get sales order. Okay, now this is something new that we are seeing, which is not there in our regular methods. What is this? So method name by database procedure. So this is the keyword that this method is created for a procedure, for a DB procedure, in this case, which is AMDP. Okay. So this is a standard keyword by database procedure for dash language. So right now, as I said, we are using HANA database for AMDP, but going forward, after some time, we would be able to use other databases as well. So for which language you are creating this procedure? I'm creating it for HANA database, HDB. Okay, for HANA database language, for HANA database, sorry, for HANA database, and which language I will write the code. When like every database has their own language where from which we can extract the data, which we from which we can actually interact with the database. In HANA, we have SQL script. Okay, most of you like have written the code or have worked with MySQL, OpenSQL, or the other flavors of SQL. Here we are writing a script language, SQL script language. Okay, so this is the language which you have to specify. Like for HANA DB, we are using SQL script. Using some tables. Okay, I will tell you what does this using means. Right now, if I'll go into the presentation, declare an AMDP method. How you will declare method name by database procedure for database, which database, language, the database language. Okay, and there is something called options. We have read only like I have I'll show you what is option. And using DB entities. DB entities meaning we are using some tables which are like sales order header VBAC, sales order item VBAC, and a customer master data table, which is KNA1. I will tell you what why we are using this keyword. Okay. What everything is means I've already explained. Like for database defines the database system for which the AMDP method is used. Language, which language we are using. Options specifies database specific options for the AMDP procedure. Okay. So this is the very good help documentation for AMDP options. We have two kind of options, read only and CDS session client. Okay. I'll not go into the details. We generally like it is, if we don't use any options, it is by default read only. You can go through this help documentation. I'll send out the link after the call. Okay. So yeah, options and then using DB entities declares the database object managed by ABAP which are accessed in AMDP procedures. Okay. What all should we specify after using? We should specify all the DB tables and views from ABAP dictionary, all procedures, meaning like this AMDP method can call another AMDP method. Okay, so that also you have to specify here. If you won't specify, you'll get the compile time error. I'll show you. Okay, suppose see, I hope you are able to see. This is the AMDP method, increase price, okay, by database procedure for HANA DB language SQL script. Using this is another AMDP method. CL demo AMDP call AMDP increase price AMDP. So if I want to use any kind of DB entities, which includes my database tables, views, or my another AMDP method, I have to declare them after the using clause. Okay. Now, after this, like in AMDP, this is the SQL script language, guys. So I'll not go into the language syntax as of now. You can go through it and you will get a hang of it as and when you'll start using AMDP. But this is like the keywords are based on the SQL script language. Okay. So we can declare, we use data statements in ABAP for declaration. Here we use declare. So I'm declaring LV date and we have something called abap.type. So this complete code, please note that we are writing directly in the DB layer and not an application layer. So there will be a difference of syntaxes and how we can read the code. Okay. So how it is like LV date and abap.type. This means after this you can write any, you can use any data element. If you want to declare any uh, variables, local variables, using any ABAP data element, you can use abap.type. Okay, so for example, I'll try to declare one more type, maybe LV name, and then I'm using control space for the help. So see, there is an ABAP type, and there are some structures which are like binary, blob, char, okay, date, time, float, and so these all are database specific variables. You can also use this, but if you want to use any kind of data element, you have to use ABAP type. And if you'll press control space, so yeah, it will have all the ABAP types. See, scirep ID, X string, and any other ABAP type as well. For example, if I'll just go to any table, say Mara table, okay, and I want to use name of the person. I have declared LV name. So I want to declare the variable with this data element. So I can use this ABAP type ERD. Okay, it will declare one LV name with the ABAP type ERD. I will show you in the detail like what is the type of this. Okay. Yeah. So this, see, I have declared one more date variable just to show you with a DB specific date. So this I'm using the ABAP type and this I'm using the DB specific date. Okay. And now I can also declare the variable and have the values in them at the same point, just like in new ABAP code, we can have inline declarations. So I've declared one LV user with ABAP type sys and in ABAP, to access the system variables, we use sci uname. For language, we use langu, sci langu. Okay, we use sci rep id. We use sci datum for the current date. Here in SQL script or in DB, we use session context. Okay, so whenever you are declaring any variable, you have like this is how you will populate the value with a colon and an equal to session context application user. I will go into the debug mode in the second half and then we'll show you okay what value we are getting. So this will get me the username of the current user which is logged in. You can find it here as well. So this is the username, my username from which I'm currently logged in into the system. Okay. And similarly, I've declared one language variable, which is like the local SAP language from which I'm logged in into my like Eclipse. Whenever you try to log in into Eclipse, see underscore EN it is coming. So I'm logged in into English language. So this is how you can get the system username. There are some more functions, session context, which I've declared here just to show you, okay, how they will work. Okay. Now, I will just uncomment them and then we'll go into the debug mode to check, okay, what values we are getting here. Any doubts still here, team? Till the declaration part.
Hi, Saurabh. I wanted to ask a question. Do we have to create only class methods in this?
No, no. As I said, like we can create static or instance methods both. Just for the sake of this demo, I've created a static method because like but you can instantiate the class based on the requirement if you want to call the constructor again and again. The all the object oriented concepts will apply to the static and instance methods. Okay, so if you want to instantiate your class, you can do it and you can create a regular method. It is it is written here as well, like AMDP is declared using an AMDP method. It should be AMDP method is declared in an AMDP class like a regular static or an instance method. So you can create any kind of method as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Fine. Now, here in AMDP, we have a very good way of like how we can use the internal tables or even how we can use the variables. I have declared some variables here, okay? But in AMDP, you may not have to declare the variables. You can directly use them. Suppose, for example, like I'm writing one query, LT Mara equals to select star from Mara. Okay. Okay. I'll first use VBAC. LT VBAC. Now, if you'll see, this is not giving me any compile time error, and I've activated this as well. So this is activated. So this LTV back I have not declared anywhere on anywhere in the class or anywhere in the method, but still I can use it. So AMDP gives us this flexibility to use the local variables without declaration as well. Now you will ask, okay, what is the structure of this LTV back? It will take the structure from the select statement. Okay, whatever data I'm trying to select, it will have the same structure. If I'm selecting only Matner and maybe any other Matner and maybe ER name from VBAC. Oh, sorry, from VBAC I have to select VBLN. VBLN. Okay, so now this LT VBAC will have the structure which consists of only two columns. But if I'm selecting star, then it will take the structure of the VBAC only. So this is how like you can even use without you can use the local tables or local variables without declaring. Okay. Now what is the uh, what is the uh, what is the significance of this using keyword? Suppose when I previously used Mara, this gave me an error. See, this is how like we are getting one error in the compile time. So this is the syntax error. It is checking syntax as and when we are writing the code. In ABAP, you have to explicitly check the syntax, but it is checking the syntax on its own. So Mara is unknown. ABAP objects and DDIC objects must be declared in the using clause of the method. Local names must start with colon. I will tell you every statement here. Mara is unknown. Yes. Why it is unknown? Because it is either it could be an ABAP object like a database table or a view, or it could be a local table which I've declared like LTVBAC or ET sales detail, right? So now Mara is a database object. So if I'll use Mara here, the error is gone. Okay. So this is the significance of using keyword. Okay. Now, for example, if I'll have one more maybe table, say LT test, select star from, now I want to use LTV back. I want to use the same internal table to have some values in LT test as well. So in ABAP, what we write is LTV back only, correct? But it will again give me an error. Why? It will again give me the same error. So Mara is our DDIC object. So second statement will apply. Okay, till the method. This is a problem section. So this is a problem. Okay, so this is the error that we are getting. So ABAP object and DDIC objects. So, but LT VBAC is a local table. How we can use a local table? It should start with colon. So if you want to use any kind of local table, it should be started with colon. Now it is an identifier that LT VBAC is declared somewhere or is is used somewhere above this line. So it is here. But if it is a database table, you don't have to use the colon. So this is the difference, guys, between a using clause and how we can use the local tables or local variables in our AMDP. Okay, so I'll just comment these two lines. For commenting, we use Control 7, control and the function keys के नीचे जो 7 होता है, that we are using. Okay, so now here in the ET sales details, I'm just selecting the tables, selecting the columns that I need. I'm joining it with the customer master table. Okay, there is one more important thing. See, it is giving me one error. Suppose if you have used the table here, but you have not used in the code, it will again give an error. So this is an important thing. The user declaration of the for the object Mara is not needed. It is saying because we have not used Mara in anywhere in the code. So I'll just remove this declaration. And now I would be able to activate this. Okay. Now coming back to our select query. So this is just I'm selecting some of the variables. I will tell you what I'm doing here. So these are the some new things that you will see here, like this case statement, and these are the some standard SQL script functions that I'm using. So I will let you know when I'll execute this code. Okay, what these means, but just it's a normal select query with inner join, and I'm selecting the sales order details. I'm joining it with my customer master. I can use left outer join, inner join, but I want to get the customer details only if the sales order exists. Okay, that is why I've used inner join. Okay, and so this is my select query is complete. This ET sales details is my output structure, which I've declared here. See, exporting value in my method declaration. Exporting, see, I've used value here because we already discussed that the parameters to the AMDP methods should be passed by value, whether it is an importing, changing, or exporting parameter. It should always be passed by value and not passed by reference. So this method is importing one of the document types, sales order document type, from the caller program, and it is giving me the sales order details for that document type. Okay, I've used the document type here. See where IV doc type. Okay, now this is one important thing in AMDP, guys. In ABAP, generally we don't like, if we have to use explicit client handling, you can use, but most of the time we don't use explicit client handling in ABAP. We generally write, okay, select star from Mara, or select. If you write the select query in your ABAP, you may or may not use the explicit client handling where client is this. But AMDP, you have to explicitly specify the client from which you have to select the data. Why? Because I've already told you this complete code will be executed in HANA database directly. And database doesn't know, okay, like I have 5 clients. So if you'll write only till here, database will not know, okay, like what, from which client I have to select the data. In our R4E system or in our S4H system, we only have like one client as of now, 100. But what if we have multiple clients? You have to specify the client handling should be explicitly done in the AMDP method. So we use SAI mandate for in ABAP. Here, as I said, we have the session context keyword where, okay, whatever client I'm logged in, see, I'm logged in into S4H 100, as you can see here. So select from 100 client only. If you want to use any other client, you will select a.mandate equal to 200 or 300, whatever client you want to select from. Fine. This thing I will explain later what is this. In AMDP, we can have the code as well, like for the a normal ABAP code can be completely shifted into AMDP. The sort, delete, adjust, and duplicates, playing with the internal tables and other things, right? So this is the example of sort and delete, adjust, and duplicates. Okay, I will show you when I'll execute this. Okay, but as of now, till here, our AMDP method implementation is done. It is just a simple select query where I'm selecting the sales order details. Okay, guys, so like everything, most of the things in ABAP, what we can write in ABAP code, we can write in AMDP as well. I can say around 70% of the statements we can write in AMDP. Okay. Like I was a part of project like 3 years back when I joined Deloitte. I was part of a project, or I was the lead of the project, where I was given a task to improve a performance of one of the requirements or one of the object in BPC, business planning and consolidation. So there was 5,000 line of code on the application layer, and it was taking around 1 hour to execute that code, even in a background job. So that 5,000 line of code I've pushed down in my DB layer using CDS views and AMDP's combination of both. Okay. And we have achieved around 80% of the performance improvement. The code or the object was now getting executed in 15 minutes instead of 1 hour. Okay. So that much of, that is the quantum of performance improvement we can actually get it, if we execute the DB layer. Of course, it depends on requirement or case by case basis. In my case, yeah, because it was getting around 1 billion of records in a cursor fashion, like 50 in a chunk fashion, 50K record at once. So for 1 billion records, it was taking 1 hour. But after switching it to DB layer, it was taking just 15 minutes. Okay. So I will show you that code as well. So one more thing here, like you can use, as I said, you can use database tables, database views as well. You can also use CDS views, because CDS views is just like a DB view or an SQL view, which is created in our database. So if you have created any CDS view and if you want to get get the data from that view, you can use the CDS view here. Okay, so in S4H, like I can just write the view name here. Okay, I think, yeah, this is the view name which is available. So in S4H, I'll go to this view. See, this is a CDS view which is there. Okay, I can show this in the Eclipse as well. So suppose like this is the view which is already created. I'm just taking any dummy view, guys. But for example, if you want to select the data from this view, you can also use this in your using clause. Okay, and then like I've already written one statement for this. If not, I can write a select query. LT aging equals to select start from DDL. See, so like this statement, this is how like you can completely execute your code in HANA DB. Suppose for your requirement, you are not able to create AMDP, or you want to create CDS views, for example, and but you don't want to have the select query for that CDS view in your application layer. You can have it in your AMDP, and then you can call this AMDP method wherever required. You are selecting. So this the CDS views is also in your database layer, and your AMDP is also in your database. Okay. Any doubts, team, till here?
So one doubt.
Yeah.
If my CDS view is having parameters, can we use that over here?
Yes. So parameterize CDS view, you can pass the parameters from your AMDP method. I will show you in my client code. Okay, I have created for that requirement which I was talking about. So there I've created a parameterized CDS view. You can pass the parameters from your AMDP only, similar to ABAP SQL.
Okay, and one more doubt. Here, when you have declared variables, you have shown us using the system variables.
Right.
Can we create our own variables and declare it over here and use it?
You're talking about, can you create your own data elements?
No, variable. Let's say I want to keep a filter on company code, and I want to declare variable on company code, and based on company code, I want to process it later. So,
yeah, you can do it. So you can declare constants here. Okay, if you're talking about constants, or for example, for company code, yeah, we have the ABAP type. We have the data element, standard data element. Okay, you can use that and you can declare it. You can have a value like 1001 or 1012 company code, whatever you want to use. That is possible.
Default values are possible.
Yes, default values are possible. Instead of this, like I can have a username directly. I can have this username directly. So this is the default which I'm doing.
Got it. Also, when you are showing that we can use CDS views in this code, that CDS views also needs to be client specific. We have to maintain that it is client dependent or independent, something like that.
Yeah, so that will depend. So basically, like here, I'm just selecting it from the CDS view, but you like you may have to specify the client from which, like, because CDS view, if your CDS view is, this is client dependent CDS view, right? So you have to specify the client, otherwise, yeah, like it could give ambiguous results.
Okay. At the end, can you show us how to specify the client? I'm not from a background. That's the
So
reason.
this is
I
how you will specify the client actually.
Okay. Even for CDS view, we are going to
Yeah,
specify
right.
the same. Okay.
Right. So just treat CDS view just like a normal database table here, like VBAC or KNA1, any kind of table. You can have where clause, you can have pass parameters, you can have aliases of the CDS view, like as a, for example, I'm using VBAC as a, so you can have a alias. This is just treat this as a normal database table.
Okay. Got it. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, team? If not, yeah, let's take a quick 5 minutes break. Currently it's 11:02. Let's be back at 11:07 or max by 11:08. Okay. And after that, I will show you like how we can like I will go into the debug mode and also the output of this class. Okay. And there, if you have any more doubts, we can clear on that. And then quickly we'll go to the presentations as well. Fine. Okay.
Hi, Saurabh.
Sorry, any
Hi,
questions?
yeah, this is Jay Guru here.
Yeah,
So,
team, if you don't have any questions, you can proceed for break. Those of all of you who have questions, you can stay. I'll just pause the recording here. If yes, can you please provide me a reaction? Any kind of reaction if you're back? Okay, I can see some reactions coming in. So I'll again share my screen. Now, because we are talking about OpenSQL, SQL Script, native SQL a lot, so I'll just go through the difference. It is there in the presentation as well, but yeah, I've just written it specifically based on my experience, what I had. So OpenSQL is the one which we write on application layer, and native SQL, or we can call it SQL Script, is based on the database. So I'll just go to the differences one by one. What is the difference between these two terms? So OpenSQL is SQL app on abstraction layer that is used to access DB in SAP system. Okay, so whatever select queries you write in your ABAP reports, so that is what we call OpenSQL. Now that is passed to one of the DB interfaces, which converts the DB interface converts the OpenSQL into native SQL. Native SQL meaning the language which database understands. Okay, so the DB interface will convert the OpenSQL into native SQL and will pass on to the DB to get the data out of it. Okay, so that is why native SQL is specific to DBMS. So every like every DB database may have their native SQL, may have their different languages. For example, in HANA we are using SQL Script. For DB2, IBM DB2, we can have another native SQL, another kind of syntax. Okay, but whenever you'll write in ABAP code, you will use OpenSQL, which is like a human readable code, which we can understand. We don't have to worry about, okay, what kind of DB we are using. Okay, OpenSQL, as I said, is executed by database interface system. I've already told you this, that there is a database interface which acts as a middleware between application layer and the DB layer. Okay, and native SQL is directly executed by the DB system. Okay, now it can follow the application syntax. For example, right now we are using ABAP. Okay, and native SQL must follow the DB syntax. It can have different syntaxes. Database independent, database dependent. From the discussions, it it might got clear that yeah, OpenSQL is database independent. If you are writing an ABAP SQL, you can attach any database with the system. It could be HANA, it could be DB2, it could be Oracle. Okay. Yeah, and it is easier to implement OpenSQL, and native SQL may be difficult because it follows the DB syntax. So you may have to learn different syntaxes. Okay. Now, there is a very important concept of authorization. I'll not go into the details, but for example, every DB has their own authorizations. Okay. But so that comes into place when we are using native SQL. So no extra authorization, only DB level authorizations are there. Okay. But when you use OpenSQL, so SAP adds one more layer of authorization. Like whenever you create any DB table, you specify the authorization object there. So it adds one more security or authorization layer whenever you are trying to access the database using OpenSQL. So these are the differences. I hope now it is clear, like the terms which we are using from past 1 hour. What is OpenSQL and what is native SQL? Any doubts in this, team? This is very important. Like, these are very important interview questions as well. Like, what is the difference between these two SQL flavors? Okay, now coming back to our AMDP code. Now, okay, you'll say, Saurabh, I have created the method. Now, how I will use it? How I will call it? It is just a simple class and a method. How we call the method of a class in ABAP, we can call it. So I have created one demo report. So it is just as simple as that. I've not used any fancy declarations or any kind of declarations. I'm just calling the AMDP method and I'm displaying it in the ALB. You can play with the data if you want, but right now I'm just displaying it in ALB. But calling an AMDP method is as simple as this, because there is no difference in the artifact. It is a class and it is a method. Okay, so this is my AMDP class. This is my static indicator, and this is my method. Okay, and the exporting parameter, as I said, like, okay, the importing parameter of this class was the document type, sales order document type, and it will give me the sales order detail. Okay, now, okay, now comes the part how we can debug this, or what is the output. Okay, first I'll just quickly show you the output once. So I'll go to F8, and it is showing me the output. Okay, now all this rows have directly come in from database, and only in the application layer, the logic which is there is to show it into my into my application. Okay, this code will be executed in the HANA database. This is not an application database or application layer, not application. Okay, now how we can debug AMDP? Like so this is a very basic and a big difference between an AMDP and CDS view. You can debug AMDP, but you cannot debug a CDS view because it's a view. Whenever you create SE11 tables or view, you cannot debug what is happening there, right? But this is an SQL script language or SQL script code. So code you can always debug. So yeah, we can debug AMDP. So that's the advantage of it. Now, how you will do it? You are in Eclipse. Okay, you have to set breakpoints. So we have the concept of breakpoints as well in SQL script. Okay, so wherever you want to place your breakpoint, just click on this, right click on this blue bar, okay, and click on toggle breakpoint. There is something called toggle soft breakpoint as well. I will tell you what it is, but toggle breakpoint. Okay, see, unable to toggle breakpoint. Breakpoints cannot be changed for inactive source. My AMDP is inactive. See, it is saying inactive and blocked. So I have to activate this first. This is similar to ABAP, guys. Now if I'll go to right click and toggle breakpoint. So breakpoint has been activated. There was a message here. See, this has been become green. AMDP breakpoint confirmed. Okay, so I have put out 2 breakpoints. Now, what do you mean by soft breakpoint? Soft breakpoints are used whenever you are in debugging mode. Suppose you are already debugging the AMDP. Okay, you are at this point and you want to directly go to this point. Like we set the runtime breakpoints as well in our normal ABAP debugger. So you can use toggle soft breakpoint. So it's the runtime breakpoint that we are setting. And this breakpoint is a normal, compile time breakpoint, or before execution of the code, you can set this breakpoint. But in the debugger, you will be able to set the soft breakpoint. You can also have the normal breakpoint and the soft breakpoint. Okay, so this is the runtime breakpoint that we have. Now, as soon as I will execute this code, it should automatically go into my debugger. So in Eclipse, we have something called perspective. So we have Java perspective, we have ABAP perspective, we have debug perspective. Okay, perspective is basically the environment. So right now, all this thing I'm doing in my ABAP environment or ABAP perspective, I should say. Okay, now if you want to debug it, whenever I'll execute this report, my Eclipse will show me a pop-up that, yeah, the debugger is trying to open debug perspective. Do you want to open it? You can click on yes, and it will go into the debug perspective. Okay. But for me, it will not come because I've disabled that. But it is a good practice. As soon as you have set the breakpoints and you are ready for debugging, just go to debug perspective. Because sometimes because this is directly executing in database, sometimes it may happen like your Eclipse will not go into debug mode when you're executing or when you are executing your application layer code. Sometimes it happens because of system issues. So it is always a best practice. As soon as you set the breakpoints and you are ready for debug, just go into this debug perspective, this little sign. Now we are all set to debug this. I will show you. Okay, now I will just set a breakpoint here as well, and I will execute this report. Okay. Any doubts like how we can set the breakpoints in AMDP? Okay. So now like this is our normal, and you can press F6 or F5, whatever you want. Even if you press F6, like it will go into Eclipse because there is a breakpoint which is already there. Okay. But I will show you, like I will go into F5. See, this is our AMDP code, AMDP method code. Now, if I'll press F5 or F6, we can, as I said, we cannot debug this in our GUI. So it will directly go into my Eclipse. So now I'm pressing F5 and see it has come here. Automatically, the control has come in here. Can you check? Can you see my screen? Right? So this is our variable window, which is there, and you can see all the breakpoints which you have set. See, like this is the breakpoints in my client system, so it is showing that as well. But because this is a debug perspective, it does not differentiate between the systems. Okay, so these all breakpoints I've set in my client system, right? And you can see the variables which are declared here. You can see the values of the variables which are declared. The variables which you are using directly, or which you have not declared and using directly, will be shown whenever those lines will be executed. I'll show you what I'm trying to say. Suppose, see, IB doc type, I have passed ZOR1 from my application. So it is there. ET sales details is also declared. So it is coming. Now I have declared LV date. Okay. I've just declared it. So there is nothing, no value in this. LV name and LV valid until. Okay. So, see. So what is the difference between this and this date? So the first date variable I have declared as per the ABAP data element type. The second date variable I have declared as a SQL script type. So you can see the ABAP data element type is of type varchar of 8, and this is a day date. Day date meaning it will have a 11 characters, like with the with a hyphen in between. So you can see the difference of how we can declare the ABAP data element types and also the SQL script or the SQL types, right? Now, see, I've declared LV user, and in this, my username has come in automatically. So Madhuri, to your question, if I'll just, so this is currently coming from my session, which is saw method. Okay. But for example, if I'll just use a constant here, it will come as a constant. Okay. And see LV lang, which is E. I'm logged in into English language.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as I said, like I'm on my ET sales detail control, and I'll just click on F6 because I cannot debug the select query because it is one statement. So see, ET sales details has come in. Now, I will go into this table and show you about these functions. But this LV temp table, see, LV temp table I'm using directly in my code without declaring it. So I cannot see it till now, till this statement is executed. Okay, as soon as this statement is executed, I would be able to see the LV temp table detail. Okay, so if you want to see it beforehand, you should declare this temp table. Otherwise, don't worry, like it will come on your variable tab as and when the statement is declared. Okay, so now I'll go to ET sales details. You can just double click on this to get the entries. Okay, and I will have this maybe here. Okay, now coming to ET sales detail, I've got all these values. I will show, now I will explain you this, the functions, the standard functions that I'm using. So I'm using WebLen, okay, order number, sales document type, the document date, and I'm extracting the month from my document date as document month. So if we'll see the document date is of 11th March 2016, I'm extracting the document month. And guys, this is similar to CDS view. You can add filters, basis, like it shows 100 rows, but overall it has around 475 rows. So you can change this maximum rows to 1000. All the 475 rows will be shown. You can add filter. For example, if I want to select the document month only in March, you can have all those filters to check the data if you have got the required data or not. You can clear this filter and then it will come again. So this is similar to CDS view data preview, what we can do in Eclipse. Okay, so now I've extracted the month. Similarly, I've extracted the year, and here I'm adding the months. Okay, I want to have one more date as due date. For example, due date, I don't have it. So this is my derived variable or derived column. This is not existing in my any of the tables. This is my derived or calculated, I should say, calculated column. Okay, I'm calculating it. How I'm calculating it? I'm adding months. To which field I'm adding? I'm adding to my document date. How many months I want to add? I want to add 1 month. So that could mean, okay, I want to deliver this sales order within 1 month of the document date. So see, due date I have got as 11th March was my document date and 11th April 2016 is my due date. Now you'll ask, okay, sort of there's a difference between the data type or the representation of these two dates. Why? Because see, doc date is the ABAP type. Okay, it is already declared as 8 characters date in my ABAP data element. But this due date, it is an implicit or it is the output of this function. Okay, it is how this function will give me an output with the SQL or human readable date. Okay, we can read this as 11th April 2016. You can also read this because we are coders, but if you'll just give it to somebody, they may not read it because this is an internal type and this is the external type. And see, I have not declared due date anywhere else above. So it is the output of this function that we are getting. Okay, so this is I'm calculating. I can also get the day of the document date. Okay, so 11th April 2016, this is a standard. It should be Friday. We can go ahead and check, but so 29th April 2024, this is recent. So let's check if it is fine. Yeah, 29th April 2024 was Monday. So this is based on your user settings or user calendar, the calendar which you are using, this day name. Okay, so these 4 columns are my calculated columns. Okay, similarly for this currency, what I'm saying is, okay, if my price, I'm putting a case here, this network is my price, I'll go here. So this is my net price. Okay, so see, if my price is 0, like if my sales order is of 0 value, then put the currency as NA, otherwise put it as USG. Okay, this is the same case statement that we can use in ABAP SQL. So in this example, see, net price is 10. So it is not 0. So that is that the currency is USG. But for this second sales order, my price is 0. Okay, so that is why my currency is not applicable. So this is how we can use. Got it, team? Any doubts still here?
Yes, Saurabh, Aisha here. I
Yes,
see the document as 3 instead of 03. Does that kind of formatting also come from the database, or is it something we can set?
That we have to check what all arguments or what all parameters this extract function we can pass. Okay, but this is directly coming from database. I've just used extract month from AU date. Okay, so I think it is formatted directly by the database. We are not doing anything explicit, but if it takes the argument, some more arguments, then yeah, we can play around with this extract.
Okay, similarly, does this kind of control extend to arithmetic operations as well? Because, for example, if I'm doing division, the zero check and all, does database have that functionality, or like?
Yeah, if you're doing division, then you have to, I think you have to do an explicit check. Okay. You have to use try catch block for that, for division, specifically for division. But yeah, for arithmetic operations, yes, you can have the functions ready. Like you can use the functions.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Till here.
Sort of one doubt.
Yeah.
To debug this, should we need to maintain any debug configuration?
No, you just have to go to the debug perspective. You can set breakpoints as required. You don't have to maintain any debug configuration. Like, as and when you will install ADT, the debug perspective will all automatically be installed.
Now we have a debug using a report, right? We try to execute that report and that report has stopped here, and that's how we have debug. Can we
Right.
debug directly the class by executing it?
So yeah, as I said, like, because you AMDP alone cannot be used anywhere. Like, I have got differences as well. What is the difference between an AMDP procedure, what table function, and AMDP function? Okay, so how you can call it from ABAP? The procedure can be called like an ABAP method. Table function should be called in a select statement only. So yeah, like, you can debug the class. We can check in if we can execute this. But for example, I'll just complete that, and maybe we can go there, Madhuri. Okay. I've pressed F6 now here. It says terminated. And now it has shown me the output here. Okay, all the 465 tools. So now coming back to your question, if I'll just execute this class. I've pressed F8. So it will open my backend class execution method. And here, when you'll click on execute, you have to pass the sales order number or sales order type. And then maybe we can go here. And it has come into debug mode. So to your question, the answer is yes. It has given me 475 NPC. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now quickly, this is like, okay, this is another SQL function which I want to cover quickly. I'll just cover in 5 minutes, and then we'll move to serious table function. So this is, if you worked with MySQL, you must know about row number, rank, dense rank function. So this is the this is the subsequent statement for sort and delete adjacent duplicates, which we write in ABAP. What this statement will do, first it will sort the table by material. Okay, it will make a group it will group the table by material, and then it will select, it will it will assign a row number to every row. Okay, and for all those, like, it will start assigning from 1, and then if we find a duplicate material, then it will assign it as 2. If it will find a different material, then it will assign it as 1. I will just quickly go into debug mode once more, and will show you, okay, how it is executing. I'll just take 4 minutes on this, and then we'll move to serious table function. Okay. See, LV temp table, I will go. So in this LV temp table, I have sorted the table with material. Okay. So see, there is one more column which I'm adding, which is row number as row num. Okay. On ET sales detail. So row num 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now if I'll go to say material, maybe I'll filter by 77 material. Okay. Quick filter on 77. So for 77, we have around 89 duplicates. 89 duplicates meaning, or 88 duplicates. So overall, 89 sales order have the same material, 77. And that is why the row number is increasing, like incrementing by 1. Okay. And now if I'll just remove this filter, And for example, if I'll quick filter on row 1, maybe I'll just check this. I want to have the, okay, yeah, see. See, after 89, okay, my row number, I will hide all these. How can I do that? Yeah, I have now filtered by row number. So row number 1, that means 98, okay, 77. So all these are distinct materials. And if 2 exists for any of the material, then it's a duplicate material. For 77, we saw like there were 88 duplicates. So what this statement will do is it will sort the sales details by material and will assign a row number. Now, if you want to get only the distinct materials, you can use where row num equal to 1. So this is how you will get around 9 distinct values. Getting my point, team? I'm sure it's a bit confusing. But what I want to show is sort and delete adjacent duplicates. It is sorting by material, and deleting means we will select only the material having row number as 1 because these are distinct. Distinct meaning like only one row we have to select for all these materials. There could be duplicates, but we don't want to select those sales orders. Got my point? Okay. So I'll quickly go to the presentation. What is remaining? So AMDP polymorphism, yeah, like you can have polymorphism here. AMDP functions, I will just cover, which we call also table functions. Okay. Function I will cover. AMDP polymorphism. Yeah. So basically like AMDP class can also act. So this class can also act as a superclass to any other class. And that child class or a subclass will also be an AMDP class, which is written here. If a subclass contains a tag interface, or if a superclass, sorry, it should be superclass here. If a superclass contains a tag interface, this also applies to its subclasses. Okay. Constructors cannot be implemented in AMDP methods, right? So this is one also limitation. AMDP calls, how we can call AMDP method. See, this is how we can just call an AMDP method. I've already shown. So this is how we can call an we can first instantiate the AMDP class, and then from that object, instance object, we can call the method. So Asif, to your question, I think this is how like a simple instance instance method we can call. We can create instance methods as well.
Okay.
Okay. Now, yeah, AMDP body, I will get into this. Like I have not used AMDP body as of now. Okay. But this is just a normal body. We can create, there are some bodies which are executing directly in HANA database. So SAP has given that functionality. You can implement those bodies and those will be executed directly in database instead of application level. Okay, this is just a call body, get body, how we do it for the new bodies or kernel bodies. Okay, database connections, AMDP database connections is basically, this is whenever the application layer connects with database. I told you like there is a database interface which is used. So the implementation of an AMDP method is always executed on the SAP standard database. By default, the call is made using the standard database connection. So how these two are connected? Via DB interface. So that is also called a database connection. Okay. So you can just go through this. This is very simple, guys. I have not covered it. SQL script, I have already told you how we can use SQL script in AMDP. Okay. How can we call SQL script? You can call from ABAP. You can call from other AMDP procedures. Okay. You can also call, like, these are AMDP procedures, but in SQL we have stored procedures as well, which are like, which may not be HANA database specific. So you can call your AMDP methods from your regular database procedures as well, which are pointing towards other database. And you can also access in SAP HANA Studio. So this is for BW developers or analytics. We can call the AMDP procedures into our HANA Studio to create reports, to create analytical reports. SQL syntax, yeah, we have covered this syntax, like how you can call SQL script procedure from AMDP. So this is how, like, we are calling different AMDP methods. Okay. So this is the difference: SQL script versus native SQL versus Open SQL, which we have already discussed. These are some use case scenarios. This debugging AMDP procedure. So this is something security related. So whenever you will work on real projects, your security team has to give give the access of AMDP access, or this is specifically for HANA Studio actually. Okay, whenever you want to debug AMDP from your HANA Studio, which is already there in Eclipse, you need to have some authorizations which your security team can give. Okay, so these are the steps to debug AMDP. I have already told you, and AMDP debugger and ABAP debugger are not identical. So AMDP debugger is there in Eclipse and ABAP is there in SAP GUI. Okay, how to create a breakpoint. You can also double click on the statement to create a breakpoint. Okay. And go to the debug perspective. For the debug configuration, yeah, I think to your question, Madhuri, I actually have not used the debug configuration because I don't develop reports in HANA Studio. I debug it in ABAP only. But yeah, so I'm really not sure about the configurations part. Okay, so now coming to table functions. Okay, what are AMDP functions or what are table functions? Okay. Okay. So now, guys, yesterday you have learned about CDS views. Okay. Now in CDS view, you generally do the coding. So this is one of the CDS view. You have define view and you define some of the fields here. You do the calculation here as well. So this is my calculated field. Okay. This is also my calculated field. You do all this in a view, like create the fields, right? Now, if you want to take advantage, suppose like here you may not do like some of the regular calculations, like the thing which we discussed, sort and delete adjacent duplicates, right? You may not be able to do it in your CDS view. Or suppose you want to get data from one of the tables, you want to process that data, and then the final data you want to have it as a view. You cannot do that in a CDS view because it is just like one CDS view. You have to put in all the fields, all the columns here. You cannot you have to, if you have to create with like you want to have the CDS view and then you have to use that CDS view in another, you can do that, but you cannot do the ABAP functions there. So if you want to use some coding or if you want to leverage some coding functionalities in your CDS view, you can create a CDS table function. What is the difference between that? CDS table function will be implemented by AMDP function. Okay, remember I'm using the keyword here, function. It is different from procedure. So CDS table function allowed to use natively implemented database function. Okay, so you can use all the DB functions which are there in native SQL. Okay, I've got one example here for the flight. Okay, so see, but first let's understand what is the table function. In this we will learn, okay, how to make table functions that are implemented natively on the database callable in CDS. Natively meaning we are creating the CDS view, but those are implemented by AMDP. Okay, so suppose like my CDS view will have these fields. Okay, there are 4 key fields in this, and there are some more fields, but the logic of all these, like the maximum seats or seats occupied, okay, for the logic of this is there in my this method. If I'll open this method, I can have the logic here. This is my just a AMDP table function. Now I can put whatever logic I want to put, and then there will be a returning statement. So difference between a AMDP procedure and AMDP function. AMDP procedure can have importing, exporting, and changing parameters. It cannot have a returning parameter. Okay, and my AMDP function can have the returning parameter. See, there is a return statement here. Okay, I will tell you like how we can create this. Okay, see, before ABAP 7.5, AMDP knew only database procedure without a return value. But after ABAP 7.5, AMDP also supports database function with a tabular return value. So the return value must be in a table format. So see, I'm returning here a table format. Return, I'm selecting something from my flight table, and I'm returning this complete table to my table function or to my CDS view. Okay. The main purpose of these AMDP functions is the implementation of CDS table function. They cannot be called as functional methods in ABAP, while AMDP procedures can be called as ABAP methods. Now, just to give you an overview, I've created this small difference table, procedure, CDS table function, and AMDP function. So there's a slight difference between a CDS table function and an AMDP function as well. So see, AMDP procedure, how we can call from ABAP? Yes, we can call it via normal ABAP method. CDS table function, we can call in a select statement. How? Because see, this is a CDS view. This is a normal CDS view which we can directly call in our select query. Okay. But AMDP function, okay, this function. So this is my CDS view. It is implemented by this function, get flights. So this get flight method, I won't be able to call from my ABAP. This is not possible. Okay, so the difference between this and this method is this method we can call from ABAP, but this method we cannot call from ABAP. Okay. Now, how we can implement the procedure? We can implement the AMDP procedure in public instance or static method. We can have it private or protected as well. CDS table function, public, static of a static class. Okay, so CDS table function will always have a static. It will always have a static method in a static class. Okay. See, this will always be a static method, and this will be a static class. Okay, and the AMDP procedure can be used for all CRUD operations, read and write. but the table function, CDS table function or AMDP function can be used only for reading purposes. Okay, where are the parameters defined? So parameters are defined in the definition of the method in case of procedure. The parameters are defined for CDS table function in CDS object. So these are my parameters. So this is my CDS object. Okay. So these are the parameters. And in AMDP function, they are defined in the definition of method. So this is my function. In the definition of my method, I have used this parameter. This is my table function as parameter. Okay. Now in procedure, we can have importing, exporting, and changing parameter. In table function, we can have importing and table like returning parameter. And that should be only exactly one table like returning parameter. You cannot have two return statements here. You cannot return two parameters from a table function. Okay. Any doubts like why table function is there? This is only to leverage the native SQL coding skills or coding paradigm. That is why SAP has introduced the table function. So all those things which we can't achieve in a CDS view and we can achieve in AMDP. So you can connect both of these things via table function. Okay. Now, how you will define a table function? See, define table function instead of a CDS view. So this is my CDS view. Instead of define view, I will use a define table function. I will just have it maybe here. See, this is my CDS view. This is my table function. And I have some parameters. Okay, this is my carrier ID. And what this table function will return, this will return all these fields. Okay. From CDS view, how it is different. In CDS view, I'm directly selecting it from one of the tables. But this query, the selection and the calculation will be done in my AMDP function. This is only telling me, okay, if I'll use this table function in my select query or in my ABAP, what all fields I will get. Okay. Now this is view, and now this table function is implemented by this method. So you can see stored in our DDL source, name of the table function, list of input parameters, what all parameters you want to have. Sorry. And then this is the list of returning parameters. And this is the link to implementation. Okay. Now how you will implement this? I will go to the implementation. See, this is my class. Because this is an AMDP function, so it will use the same interface, the tag interface. Okay. Now in my AMDP, okay. Where is my AMDP? So this is my AMDP. Yeah. So this is my AMDP. See, in my AMDP as well, I had interface. In my AMDP procedure, I had the interface. In my AMDP function, I also have the interface. Guys, I'll just extend this by 5 more minutes. I also have my project call, but I will just postpone it as well. I'll just take 10 more minutes for this table function. Okay. Because this is really important. Hope everybody's fine. Okay. This is the interface which I'm using. The declaration is differing somewhat. So this is a class method, same, but you don't have to declare anything. Like you don't have to put any importing or exporting or changing parameters. You will just write get flights, the name of the parameter AMDP method, and for table function, here you have to write the table function name, in which in our case it is ZTF table function demo. Now if I'll go to the PPT, stored in a global ABAP class. So this is the ABAP class name, marker interface or tag interface, method name and link to CDS view for signature inheritance. That means signature inheritance, meaning this method does not have its own signature. It will inherit the signature from this. So this is the importing parameter of this method. Okay. And these are the returning parameters of this method. So this does not have its own signature. This is inheriting from its CDS view. Any doubts still here, team? Okay. If no, so this signature inheritance is clear. So for table function, it will inherit the signature from him. Let me try to open this class in GUI. I think it will be more clear. See, this is my method. And if I'll go to the signature, see, signature is blank in my GUI because it is inheriting from my CDS view, from my table function. Inheriting meaning, so this will be the importing parameter for this method. Okay. And these all will be a tabular returning parameter. Okay, it does not have any parameters. Okay, fine. Now, this is just a simple implementation. You can have the select queries. So all those select queries, calculations, what you have in your AMDP, like this declaration, select queries, you can have all this, but at the end, you must have a return statement similar to what we have in table function. Okay. If you won't have this return statement at the end, like you need to have one table created in your AMDP and you need to return it to your CDS view. So if you don't have this return statement, your AMDP will start giving an error. See, return statement should be defined for table function. There should always be a return statement for a table function. Okay, so this is the error that we will get if you don't have a return statement. So you can have all kind of coding or all kind of logic before this return statement, and then you will have a return statement which will be populated in your CDS. Okay. Now, usage of a table function. Select single from Z primes CDS rank equal to 5. Now, I want to use this table function maybe into my AMDP. How I can use that? I'll just try to use this LT flight select star from ZTF table from demo, and I want to pass the parameter which is carrier flight ID, maybe some I'm not sure if this is right. Okay, now what it is showing is unknown because this is the SQL, so I have to just use this. Could not find table view schema in SAP S4H. Okay, I think that, okay, this is, I think not. Okay, I think there was an issue with the I think there is an issue with the activation, but yeah, you can use your CDS table function as this, like select single from this, and you can pass the parameter rank file. So here, if you'll see define table function z primes CDS implemented by this, and here it is getting taking the parameter as rank. Okay. So if I want to use this table function, I will use from z primes CDS and I will pass the parameter. Okay. So team, like if you have 5 more minutes, then I can show you a real life AMDP. If anybody is interested to see, I'll just stop the recording and can show you after connecting to my client VPN. If not, yeah, we can disperse right now. Over to you guys. Okay, I can see some reactions. So give me a moment. I'll just disconnect from my Deloitte VPN client, connect to my client VPN. I'll stop the recording here.